These days, everyone's trying to make a podcast. It's saturated. And at the top of the saturation list, you've got true crime, history podcasts, and then business content. And yet, in this world that also includes YC, All In, Tim Ferriss, these two basically normal dudes built a business podcast that is insanely loved. They might have the most loyal fan base of any business podcast out there. There are meetups in major cities for My First Million. And what I love about MFM is the way they grew is basically a masterclass in crushing the little things, which are all replicable. You don't have to be anybody special to do these. So in this episode, we're breaking down how My First Million blew up, gained hundreds of thousands of subscribers, became one of the most beloved business podcasts in existence.
Sean Puri, ladies and gentlemen, dude, I'm so glad that we got to run this back.
You're a legend in media and someone I look up to a lot.
That was good fun. Thanks, man. Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
If you're new here, my name is Ben. My day job is leading growth at a YC startup, but by night I am studying greatness. And this is the channel where I break down how the top creators and businesses blew up and became someone that others want to follow. Now, I don't have a PhD or big fancy credentials, so if you're looking for that, I'm probably not the guy for you. But I study these people nonstop, and I'll break it down for you in a way that is both entertaining and educational. Enough about me though, let's talk MFM. To start, let me place you into a story. You're sitting in a musty room, fluorescent lights overhead. You're participating in an experiment. A gray-haired researcher walks in and says, you're gonna be sitting here for the next 90 minutes, and you have two choices of things you can watch. Option one is an educational documentary. It's gonna teach you something. Option two is an entertaining TV show. Now pause here and think of what you would answer, but I'll tell you what most people said. Most people, when asked, said that they would rather watch the educational documentary. They want to learn something. It's cool. Then the researcher leaves, comes back 5 minutes later, wheels in a TV, and says, regardless of what you said before, you can choose what you want to watch now. It doesn't have to be what you said. But again, we only have those two options, documentary or the TV show. They hand them their remote, leave the room. And now, despite what people said, their revealed preferences when it actually came to watches, most people chose the entertaining TV show. We have a bias towards entertainment. And now, if you look at MFM, it's a business podcast, but it's not quite like Founders or Acquired. It's really fun.
His company, Ramsey Solutions, is a biblically based, common sense financial education media company. Not gonna lie, that's a bar.
It's a bar.
An absolute bar. Bar. Hey, YouTube editor, play that clip of like Jay-Z the first time he hears like the intro to like, with
Timberland.
Timberland's playing him a beat and he's like, ooh, that's nice.
And that's because MFM takes an entertainment first approach. Only that's not quite right because entertainment isn't first, great business ideas are, but the entertainment is closely tied in with everything that they do. So the podcast is hilarious.
I will never do Elf on the Shelf. It's so weird.
You are a wise and smart individual.
You're telling me that this elf is supposed to be watching the children at all times? Big Brother? Let's just call it Palantir. That's what it's going to be. I'm just going to...
Carp on the shelf?
Yeah, carp on the shelf. Peter Thiel's in the house. He knows exactly what you did.
Better be contrarian this year.
Yeah. Fuck on the elf on the
Have
shelf.
you been contrarian or consensus is the new naughty or nice?
I just want a little doll of Peter Thiel, and it just, you click a button and it like says,
And this makes it far easier to listen to consistently. When you're not in business or self-improvement mode, you can listen for the entertainment. But when you are, then you get all of these incredible ideas and guests coming on to teach you. And closely tied into this, they have a lot of inside jokes that all of the listeners will know. Things like no public math, no small boy stuff, Sam ending it with that's the pod, Billy of the Week, drunk business ideas, blue collar side hustles, Sarah's list. These elements help create an insider feeling with listeners. And they add an extra level of showmanship that elevates the podcast. So humor is an incredibly valuable skill, and one that's lacking from a lot of serious topics like business. Mix it in, and you automatically separate yourself. Oftentimes we need to be reminded more than we need to be told. But we want someone who can remind us in a way that cuts through the nonsense, who can say what we're all thinking, but but don't know how to verbalize ourselves.
And when we were talking to Natter a few days ago, he was explaining what he does, and then you go, no, this is what you do. And you explained it so much better, and he goes, that's how I should always explain it. Everyone should have that skill that you have, and you could actually develop that skill.
Sam and Sean are great at this.
And the version of this that I try to make as a practice or a habit is to have honey, I'm home energy. So honey, I'm home energy is like, if you ever seen I Love Lucy back in the day, the guy opens the door, he's bursting with energy, like nobody comes home from work like that. But this guy did it in the show because it was a show. He would come home and, honey, I'm home. And you could just hear from the voice, get ready for a great ball of energy coming your way that is going to be loving, that is going to be affectionate, it's going to be playful and flirtatious and charming, all the things we kind of want to be. And so one simple practice to develop this skill of enthusiasm is to have this honey, I'm home energy.
They take things you already know, but say it in a way that rings truer than when others say it. Now, this comes with practice and with clarity of thinking, which is great because it means that getting better at it also makes you a better communicator. So it's a win-win. So lesson 2 is master the art of describing what others are thinking, but don't know how to verbalize. Podcasts are beloved for a reason, but they have a few shortcomings. For example, they're long, they can take a while to get to the insights that you want, especially when there's a lot of meandering through different topics. MFM isn't like this. MFM is like the Twitter version of a podcast.
Can I give you a framework that I think is pretty dope that I heard?
It's the quickest way to flood yourself with novel ideas.
Sam, today I have 3 businesses that I would say are so simple, you're kind of going to be mad at yourself you didn't think of them.
They'll often go through 7 to 8 key ideas in each episode, and they split it up very clearly, so there's no guessing about what's what. They've mastered the art of saying enough, but not more. So lesson 3 is how can you take a format or idea that you know works, but deliver it in a better way? MFM took business ideas, which are hard enough to come by themselves, and then delivered it in a quick hit format that you can listen to while you drive. And as an additional lesson here, anytime you can increase the rate of ideas, it's generally a good idea. So MFM is full of business ideas, but people don't understand how hard it is to consistently come up with good ideas. And this is a huge part of their value. They are curation as a service. They did all the hard work of finding new, interesting ideas. All you have to do is listen to it, and you get the benefit of hours of work each week.
Let me give you some other ones that I think are kind of interesting. There's a guy who created this website called Zombie Pumpkins. You ever seen this?
No.
So it's like, I think it's zombiepumpkins.com. So 2 million people a year go to this site just to print out a stencil that they can use to carve their pumpkin. So he was like, you know what? If you go try to do pumpkin carving, it's going to be a pretty generic face. I'm going to make like super accurately drawn things so that you can have like a really dope looking pumpkin. Like you can have like
This is a really cool site.
a really like, Michael Jackson looking pumpkin. It'll look like it if you just follow my stencil. And, he donates a bunch of the money that comes from this to charity, which I thought was pretty cool.
And sometimes they're coming up with brand new ideas, but oftentimes it's repackaging ideas that other people already have, which makes it way easier to do consistently because you don't have to pull a rabbit out of a hat every single week. You're just finding the best of what others have already discovered or thought. Part of that is bringing on unique guests who share their ideas. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying they don't ever come up with their own ideas. They definitely do.
Crack open a tall one, crack open a second tall one. It is time for my favorite episode of the year, bar none. Do we have a famous guest? No. Is this episode full of insights? Questionable. Is this the annual Drunk Ideas episode of the year? Yes, it is. Sam, we're here.
But the curation helps with the brainstorming of new ideas, so they go hand in hand. It's like the saying, good artists copy, great artists steal. You start by stealing what others do, and then that helps you develop your own taste. So lesson 4 is if you're struggling with new ideas, curate the best of what already exists. The podcast space is full of a ton of different formats. You've got storytelling, long-form interviews, documentary-style series, solo narrative, comedy shows, journalistic, news, etc. Sam and Sean picked one that was both unique and worked for them. MFM is basically, what would it sound like if smart rich guys just riffed on how money actually gets made? And this is rare because most business content tends to be very polished, very instructional, and kind of moralized, like telling you what to do. Whereas MFM feels like overhearing private conversations, brainstorming at the whiteboard, and ideas that might be dumb or brilliant. So lesson 5 is find a format that's at the intersection of unique and works for you. Oftentimes when everyone in an industry is doing things a certain way, there's a huge opportunity in doing it a different way. Closely tied in with the last point, Sam and Sean talk about business in a way that matches how most people actually think about it. So the whole show has this feeling of, I thought I was the only one who thought like that.
But have you seen these gambling live streams where Drake will go on Twitch and he'll gamble like $20 million live on stream?
No, really?
Yeah.
Like a real $20 million.
A real $20 million. Like he lost like, I think $17 million on roulette one night like 2 weeks ago or something like that.
Is he really that rich? Like if you're $200 million rich, that's 10% of your net worth.
In a night. No, okay.
That's a substantial amount.
Good question. I had the same question, which led me to some pretty interesting findings.
Like they ask people exactly how much they make. They reverse engineer how much different random businesses make. They talk about the common pitfalls of business, but that are kind of unpopular, like how easy it is to get caught up in the race of comparing yourself to others and always wanting to make more money, or how it's easy to hear advice but not apply it. In short, they're brutally honest.
Dude, I had this guy messaging me saying he wants to come on the pod, and I was just like, I ignored it because I hate when people ask to come on, because I'm like, dude, why are you gonna make me say no? Like I say no to everyone practically, even good friends. Like we just say no to most everyone. And this guy, he was like, can I come on? I'm a huge fan. And I just said like, thanks for reaching out. Like I tried to avoid it. Like it was quite obvious. And he's like, hey, so can I come on? And I go, this isn't a good fit, but I really appreciate you listening. And he was like, can I get some feedback? I was like, it's just not a good fit. And he goes, okay, but why? Okay, because you're not interesting and you're not that successful. And he was angry at me. And I was like, dude, what the hell? I mean, if you're gonna ask for feedback, I'm gonna tell you.
So the question here is, what is everyone in your space thinking, but no one is saying? Say that and people will love you. The last element of their success, and not that these are all of them, these are just the 7 that we're talking about today. The last element is a little bit different, but it's very key, especially for people who are just starting out. So MFM makes a decent amount of money, but even if they never made any money at all, what would have been the benefits? Well, Sean talks about this when he was starting out. He said, it's going to expand my network. I'm going to get to talk to interesting people who I would want to talk to anyways. And I'm improving my skills of communication, conversation, and explaining ideas. So lesson 7 is pick something where even if you fail from an outside perspective, you still succeed because the skills and the secondary benefits will improve your life. This gives you the motivation to keep going even when you're not seeing results, and de-risks the venture so that you're not too scared to fail. As a reminder, here are the 7 lessons. These aren't all of them, but they're 7 that helped my first million. They can help you too. I'll see you next time.